All right, so it's that time again. Let's take a look at the books coming up on FOC so I can tell you what to pre order. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is FOC. This is the weekly video. I do it every Friday to let you know which books have their final order cutoff deadlines coming up this coming Sunday or Monday, depending on the publisher. And if you're not familiar, final order cutoff is again the deadline by which your local comic shop can order a book before the print run is set. So they order them with the distributors, and the exact number that is ordered, well, a little overrun, of course. But basically, by and large, your pre-orders by final order cutoff determine how much of a product is out there. And so if you get your orders in before that cutoff, it guarantees your copy. So we got a bunch of books, and I like to highlight new titles or new series coming up on final order cutoff. And so let's go ahead and get started. Whoops. So, final order cutoff picks for February 20th, this coming up Monday, 2023. And we'll go, like I said, we'll get started. I will say I was surprised. There's like almost nothing coming up on final order cutoff for DC Comics this week. But we'll start off with a Marvel book. This is Doctor Strange, issue number 1. Doctor Strange, written by Jed McKay, art by Pascal Ferry, with this cover is by Alex Ross. And I don't know about you, but when I see Alex Ross on the cover, I almost always buy it. Now, I can't even lie. I'm not the biggest fan of like magic or the mystic arts. And so Doctor Strange books are almost never on my radar. But Jed McKay is a very solid writer. I really loved Jed McKay did a Mary Jane and Black Cat series during the Beyond era. He was writing Moon Knight, or is writing Moon Knight right now, and that's one of the best Marvel titles on shelves. So Jed McKay is certainly a capable writer, a competent writer, a good writer. But again, because I'm not a big fan of like magic and demonic refugees invading people's homes and stuff, it's probably not what I'm going to grab. But I did want to let you guys know, if you are a Doctor Strange fan, he's been off the table for a little while. He died a little while back, and he's back. So your Doctor Strange title is here. It's got a retail price of $4.99. It's on cutoff this weekend, but it'll be in stores on March 22nd. So go ahead and write down that product code, share it with your LCS, give them a call this afternoon to make sure that you are on the list for that book. And after this, we got a whole bunch of indies. So let's go ahead and get started with one that just seems super interesting. This is Astrobots, number 1, from Whatnot Publishing. So Whatnot is actually they're an app, a buy, sell, trade app, or buy and sell app. It's kind of like a competitor to eBay that kind of combines eBay auction style technology with like Facebook Live, like you've seen in the pandemic. But anyway, I'm sure you've seen some of the bigger comic book influencers, promoting their Whatnot sales and exclusive covers. Well, Whatnot is like officially like investing in the comic book community, churning out series. And I feel like you can always kind of look at books like this or publishers like this with a healthy amount of skepticism, because a lot of times it feels like they're just sort of farming out IP with the goal of making it into a movie. And like I said, there's like big tech money behind this. But anyway, Astrobots, number 1, is written by Simon Furman, who was a writer on the original Transformers series, like TV show, with art by Hector Trunick, who is also like renowned for Transformers artwork. So this Astrobot series, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be because I'm young, right? But apparently Astrobots were like a spin-off line of toys, or like a copycat line of toys in the same vein as Transformers. And now, some of the creators behind the actual Transformers stuff we all know and love are writing this Astrobots series. So I will say this just looks really interesting. Transformers, Gundam Wing, like big mech type manga and stuff like that has always looked interesting to me, but I've never actually gotten into it. So this just looks like a fun entry point. Astrobots number 1. The clock is ticking for planet Earth. They're trying to find a world capable of sustaining human life. Astrobots are dispatched to scout the far flung worlds in hoping of crafting a new home. Um, so, anyway, it sounds interesting. It certainly sounds interesting. Whoops, my bad. The retail price on this is only $3.99, which is not bad. With the final order cutoff being this weekend, this Monday, and this issue will be in stores on March 22nd. So, like I said, there's the Diamond product code. You can get your shop to pre-order a copy for you. Another book that Whatnot did just recently was The Exiled, written by and with art that looks like Wesley Snipes. I hadn't heard much about it. I don't know if anyone really enjoyed it. Not saying that no one would, but I just hadn't heard much about it. But Whatnot Publishing, they're in the game. I think last time there was a bunch of hype around a new publisher, it was Bad Idea, and there were some good stories that came out of that. So give it a shot. The next indie that we'll talk about from Image Comics and Kyle Higgins, Brian Buccellato. This is No One, issue number 1. Now, this is a book set in the Massive verse. So if you're familiar with Radiant Black, this comes out of like that same sort of family of titles. So 10 months ago, the Richard Roe murders shocked the city of Pittsburgh. In the months since, the killings have sparked a dangerous political movement, copycats, and a vigilante who's still determined to hold the powerful accountable. They could be anyone, but there are no one. So this is apparently a mini series. I think it's going to be 5 issues, and this first issue is oversized. And in conjunction with this oversized issue, they're also starting a podcast that will kind of also help tell the story. It's written by Kyle Higgins, who also wrote Radiant Black and Power Rangers and a bunch of stuff, with art by Brian Buccellato, which it's written by Brian Buccellato, excuse me, and Kyle Higgins, with art by Geraldo Borges from Nightwing. So anyway, it sounds interesting. A true crime superhero drama in its own corner. So it sounds like you don't have to read any of the other Massive verse titles to enjoy this. And I can't even lie, I got overwhelmed with the amount of Massive books that came out, but they were very clear on social media that you don't have to read one to read the others. So if you want to jump into this one blind, I think it'll be a good one to jump into blind. Retail price on this issue is $3.99. It's on final order cutoff this week, and it'll be in shops on March 15th. So again, all of these are actually on sale with Diamond, so you can use those product codes, and your shop will be able to order it for you. And that's actually the last single issue, and the last book I'm going to spotlight today is a trade paperback. This is Kaya, issue number 1. It's actually written and drawn by Wes Craig. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about this book. Issue 5 just came out this week, but this trade paperback collects issues 1 through 5 and the prologue story that was in the Image Anthology series. Now, all of that is basically 6 issues or 5.5 issues for $9.99, where one issue of this book would have cost you $3.99. So these Image Comics trade paperbacks are just such a good value. And like I said, I've heard really good things about the story. So I think it's worth checking out, and that's why I decided to spotlight it. It's on final order cutoff this weekend. It'll be in shops on March 29th, but also on final order cutoff is Kaya issue number 6. So if you decide to continue it, it'll be in shops around the same time. So that's cool. Product code is in the description as well. So you can go ahead and have your shop place the order. And that's it. That's actually the last book that I wanted to spotlight today. So like I said, a lot of stuff on final order cutoff, like almost nothing from DC, but some pretty promising indies. You can always look in the description down below and shop on the publisher's websites to see the full list, see if there's a variant cover or something that you might want. Because again, if you don't order it by Monday, well, now you got to go and, feed with the rest of the sharks and wolves and hope you make out well on release day. So go ahead and get those orders in. By the way, if you don't want to just like wait for me to tell you what books to get like on YouTube, then I highly recommend you subscribe to the newsletter. It's called This Week in Comics, where I'll send you my thoughts on a few of this week's releases, as well as my final order cutoff recommendations every single Friday, straight to your email inbox. All you got to do is go to thisweekincomics.com to subscribe. And that's going to do it for me. I will see you guys in another episode of FOC next Friday. Until then, I don't know what you're reading today, but I hope it's something dope. Peace.